It was supposed to be an ordinary drive, a familiar route, a quick trip home. But in seconds, everything changed. The road twisted sharply ahead, wet from a late-night drizzle. He was driving too fast, and suddenly, he was sinking. Wednesday, February 14th. A day like any other. A routine drive home. Michael Reynolds, 31 years old, had spent the last decade working his way from late-night study sessions to corporate boardrooms. A rising name in finance, a husband, a father. His family depended on him. He meant the world to them. And tonight, more than anything, he had promised to be home in time to celebrate his son's birthday before bedtime. But now, as he turned onto the long stretch of highway cutting through the cliffs, he told himself he could still make it, if he just kept moving on the other side of the highway. Paul Henson, 62, had spent his life on the road. He had seen bad weather, reckless drivers, close calls. But nothing like this. The truck came out of nowhere, a blur of headlights over the ridge. Too fast. No time to think. A horn blasted through the rain-soaked night. His hands jerked the wheel. The car slid. Hydroplaned. The tires caught the edge of the road. The guardrail slammed into view, and then nothing but air. For a moment, weightlessness. The car airborne, spinning. Headlights flashing against the rock wall before the blackness swallowed him whole. The music still played distorted now, drowning in the chaos of the fall. Then impact. The car hit the river at 80 kilometers per hour. The world tilted, turned. Shock. The first thing that hit him wasn't fear, it was confusion. Disorientation. The car wasn't upright anymore. Then came the cold. Michael recalls the moment.
That's when I realized I was in water.
Freezing river water surged in from the broken windshield, filling the car fast. His breath came short, too fast. Now he was panicking, hopelessly hitting at the glass, the seatbelt too tight. His fingers clawed at the buckle. He kept pulling and pressing, but nothing. It was jammed. The water had reached his chest now, rising. Adrenaline sharpened his mind. Panic burned oxygen. He forced himself to stop and think. The pressure outside was too strong. The doors, useless. The windows half shattered, but not enough to escape. He kicked at the window again. Nothing. Then he remembered the sunroof. His hands scrambled upward, fingers finding the edge. He dragged it open. The glass locked. The electronic system was dead. No way to click it open. A second wave of panic surged. He had seconds left. He changed his focus. Breaking the sunroof was his only option. His hands fumbled at his pocket. A pen. A key. His fingers closed around the key. He braced himself. One shot. A second strike. The sunroof cracked. A third hit. It shattered. He was finally out, finally. He was grateful he had been resilient, so he could use his last bit of energy to swim out the sunroof. A tug. He gasped. Now looking down in the blur of the dark water, he thought something caught around his ankle. He quickly realized his leg caught between the headrest and seat. He was stuck. All his attempts for nothing. The river poured in, swallowing the last pocket of air. When asked to think back on that moment, Michael shares what was going through his mind.
I was drowning. No air, no way out. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how it ends.
He tried pulling, twisting, but it was no use. He was out of breath. Then a jolt. The sinking vehicle slammed into a hidden rock shelf, its rear wheels catching onto the uneven riverbed. The impact tilted the car sharply, sending a ripple through the water, the shift just enough to loosen the grip around his leg, a rush of movement. He felt himself float free. Meanwhile, up on the road, Paul, the truck driver, was on the phone with emergency services, reporting the accident. He didn't know the man in the car. He had never seen him before, but he had watched the vehicle vanish over the edge, swallowed by darkness. And now he could only wonder, was there even a chance? His head broke the surface just as his vision tunneled. The cold air hit his lungs like fire, his body weak. But alive, he floated for a moment, staring at the sky, stars spinning, the world silent. A search team arrived just as he dragged himself onto the rocks. He had been in the water for nearly 7 minutes. What felt like hours of struggle. Too long, but not long enough to end him. We asked Michael what was the first thought that crossed his mind when he finally reached safety.
I thought, I can't believe I missed his birthday.
Survival wasn't luck. It was instinct. It was a last push. And in the end, it was one thought of Michael Reynolds' loved ones. That gave him the final kick, his escape. Nothing short of a miracle. What would you do in a moment like this? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more real survival stories, subscribe to Survivor's Diary.